Hello and welcome to the Infinity Saga and Beyond, an MCU fan podcast where we talk all things Marvel, Marvel Cinematic Universe, and this time we are talking comics as we do our monthly watch here of Ultimate Spider-Man. My name is Jordan, and with me, as always, on the Ultimate Spider-Man issues that we've been talking about is Chris. How are you, today, Chris?
Oh, I'm doing good. This has been a really good day. Let's have some fun, man.
And the return of Ron. How are you, today, Ron?
Good to be here back with you boys. I know the last two, it's just been just really crappy timing with things popping up, but I'm stoked to be back here with you today talking some comics. Or one comic in particular, I guess.
Yeah, just one. You missed your chance on the other two issues. I don't know where we want to start here. It's been a while since we've had all three of us doing this.
That's
So
right.
I'm finding our feet again here. I guess let's start with you, Ron. What did you, I guess, generally think of issues 4 and 5 as you get ready to get into issue 6 here, and kind of like what was your vibes going into this one?
I enjoyed the last two. The one before last, that was basically just the whole conversation between Harry and Peter.
Yes.
I enjoyed. I thought um, it feels like it's all just kind of been building up to what we got in this issue, and it's all been pretty solid overall. It's tough to go in too deep. I don't want to just sound redundant to all the things you guys said of the last two, and I'd be lying if I said I remembered everything from the last two because we're only doing these episodes monthly, so it's half a cop out. But there was some good stuff in there for sure from the last two that I remember, and this one was a lot of fun. We got a little mix of the emotional, we get some reveals, we got a pretty fun little fight scene there, and I don't really know much what more you could ask for from a comic. So, just in a general sense, before we go into specifics, I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, it's this issue was structured pretty well, I think, because it had the whole starting with seeing Peter and be beat up, right? And we end up getting the reveal to the rest of the family. And he decides to actually sit down and tell them. I mean, less deciding and more being forced to because May ends up spilling the beans, right? But then we go flashback, and most of the rest of the issues in a flashback where we actually see the confrontation between Green Goblin, Spider-Man, and Kingpin. Here, of course, we're talking about issue 6, Ultimate
Hey,
Spider-Man.
that's
I
pictures
got it.
work.
That's what I was doing. That's why I was like, Ron's killing time. I'm gonna be pulling up some of these images. Okay, got it working. Chris, give me your thoughts. You'll kick us off here on this issue, just general thoughts, and we can kind of dive into more of the story stuff. But what was your thoughts on episode issue 6 of Ultimate Spider-Man?
I was almost annoyed about how much I enjoyed it because it was over so quickly. It was a good fast. It was a
I
good
was gonna
fast quick
say, I was
read.
like, that's
I
a
was
weird thing to
so
get
pissed.
annoyed
I
about.
loved it.
Like no, like I was annoyed that I enjoyed it so much because I was like, I want the next issue right now. Like you had that cool little fight with Fisk. You had the family dynamic there. That's a cool family, by the way. And it was just, got so much going on. It was a fun, fast, like boom, boom. Like I loved it. So I was like, let's get to the next issue already. This is my favorite issue of the series because I thought pieced together a bit of everything that we've had because we've had a lot of exposition, we've had a lot of talking, we've had a little glimpses of action, but this kind of gave you everything in one issue, and it just zipped along like you were flying through the city almost like it's a Spider-Man zip through. It's just like I'm like, well, I sat down to read a comic. I'm already done. I'm like, damn.
It
For
definitely
sure.
flew by, I feel like, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it was a quick read for me. I got it on my lunch break today at work, and then I came home and finished reading it before the end of my lunch break, and it was like a perfect I don't know, Wednesday. I'll say I it's hard for me to rank these things immediately. I would still put probably issue 4. That's the one where they're at the diner at the dinner. I feel like that one's been my favorite so far. But um, what we do know, right, is that this is the last issue in the trade
Mhm.
for issues 1 through 6. So, Ron, with that, do you think this was like if you're somebody that has not read this issue by issue, and you pick up a trade, do you feel fulfilled at the end of that trade of this first arc?
Yeah, I would say so. It was kind of from the start building up. Like Fisk was from the first issue, kind of the central point in terms of villains, and it's all been revolving around him ever since. So we wrap things up here pretty well with a fight between him and Harry and Peter. We also got a pretty interesting reveal there about he's got Fisk has had some kind of, I think he said he had work done was the way he like put it, but did something to where he is like physically much stronger now. I don't know if it's like a super
He's got
soldier
like the
thing or
prison tattoos or something.
yeah, yeah. What the heck? I was not expecting that. Like right in the first, so you see the Harry's like blast go off his shoulder. You're like, oh my god, that he should be donezo. And then they go right to that. It was like, okay, this is interesting. We've also got some cover reveals for issues that are coming up that kind of give away that there's going to be a Sinister Six presence with Fisk sort of being the figurehead around that. So I think it was a good tie up to it in the sense of like uh, to quote a little Star Wars moment here. Now there are two of them because like Peter and Harry are both coming after Fisk, so now he knows he's got to once again not just even the numbers game, but kind of take things up a step. So yeah, I think this was a good first like sort of break in the story, if you will, like a good end of the first act of the movie, if you will, for sure.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I thought like with them saying the shocking conclusion to the ultimate opening arc here, that I thought Kingpin would face more repercussions, but it is
Mm,
fairly like a Kingpin gets away, right? Because Spider-Man and Goblin have to kind of um, escape without with their tail between their
well,
legs.
yeah, like
With how
he
much they
wins.
lost. Yeah, he
Yeah,
wins.
ultimately.
But
No pun intended.
on a personal level, this feels like a conclusion because we finally get this scene here where she
Mm,
says, "Isn't it obvious you're Spider-Man?" And Mary Jane is the one that names him,
yeah.
and we get that um, here, which I think makes it feel like that is more of a complete. Like now, if I get to the last page of that trade, I'm like, okay, like he's Spider-Man now. We're
Mm,
gonna get into the next one. It makes me want to read the next one, but we also have the character arc of Peter kind of coming full circle
yeah.
at the end of this.
I like there's no secrets now. It's just he's just
Hmm.
full fledged Spider Man. He's
Yeah.
not hiding it from
Yeah, no
MJ.
secrets and
You know,
lies.
it's honestly in comic books that is the most refreshing thing. It's almost always the other way.
Yeah. Like drawn out and like no, like you said, it's the pace. It's very quick. It's they're just getting through this stuff and kind of much like the Acolyte did in the first two episodes. It's like they didn't linger on the oh, is it twins? Is it not twins? Sort of thing. They just is it OSHA? Like they get all that out of the way. I know we're on the Marvel
Yeah,
podcast here. Don't mind me. But
stop crossing the streams. Okay.
nothing good ever
now
comes
we're
from crossing streams. Indeed.
now we're on the Ghostbusters show. So
But yeah, I thought it was a great like you could take this 6 issues and just kind of view them if you want to just read them and look at them as like a Peter origin story in a way about him
Yeah.
coming into his own as Spider-Man at 40, which is a much different take, obviously, but just in the way he has to navigate that and learn how to be Spider-Man and deal with the family aspects of it. So it's very much a complete thing. The more that we like kind of sit here and talk it out, it definitely feels like a complete fun like story you could just pick up and read in an afternoon.
Yeah. So you've read Ultimates, right?
The first one, yeah.
Yeah. So what's going on in that? Like, can you give us a little overview of real quick, like what else is happening in this Ultimate universe with like the Ultimates? Like, how was that first issue? Do you recommend it? And kind of like just the general gist of do you see Spider-Man kind of fitting it? Because spoiler alert, in one of those covers coming up, Iron Man features on it. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been pretty good. It's all kind of central. It's like centralized around this plot of like the makers got this plan, and basically the Ultimates have 2 years, or I think it's by the time we get into the comic, and like they go back in time and then forward in time, it ends up getting like 6 months shaved off it. So where the Ultimates is now is like current to where we are with Spider-Man, because we're
okay.
6 months in as well. This one was June. So it brings us right up there, but it's basically about them like doing essentially the same thing they did with Peter, like going to all these old heroes and like getting them to like find themselves who they were beforehand, and like dealing with some pushback, and like again having to go back in time because like it doesn't work at first, and there's a lot of really cool stuff in there. And it's been a lot of fun so far. It was a good start to the story. There's still a lot that hasn't been explained, but right now that's kind of the main path we're on. It's about Iron Lad and Captain America and all them, and Sif and Thor, basically just going to like the first issue featured Ant-Man heavily, as you'd imagine, and was mostly about him like becoming Ant-Man again in his own.
Pym or Lang?
What?
Pym or
Pym.
Lang? Okay.
Pym. Yep.
Boo. Okay.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. I could be wrong here, but it seems like they never really like. It's always Hank Pym. It feels like when it comes to like comics, Avengers, and stuff. Like it feels like Scott has been much more like of just a movie thing. Obviously, he's in the comics as well, but in terms of like instances that you see them, it feels like we see Hank Pym Ant-Man astronomically more than we see Scott Lang Ant-Man in the comics.
There's a really good Scott Lang comic that I read. I forget what it was called. I'm gonna have to look into it again, but it was good. He had a good storyline in that. One thing I really liked is the idea of code names, right? And it being their superhero names, and it comes about because Harry calls him Peter, and he's like, "I told you not to call me Peter while we're in the costume. I thought that's the whole point of wearing a costume," which makes sense. That is kind of a flaw in Harry's superheroing, and he wants to. I think Goblin wanted to come up with his own, and Peter's like, "You can't. Like, they started calling you Green Goblin." He's like, "I want to come up with my own," and then he's like, "Well, what do you like?" And he comes up with, "I kind of like Green Goblin."
Yeah.
Thought that was a great exchange.
These people will never name me. Who are they to come up with my moniker? All right.
And then he's just like, "Damn, that's actually pretty cool. That's a pretty cool name."
All right, just this once.
And Peter does the same thing as we talked about with MJ. He is she's saying that he needs a name, and he doesn't know what it should be, and she's like, "Isn't it obvious? You're Spider-Man," which obviously that is like an obvious name. I don't know what else you would call him, right? Like Arachnid Man.
Yeah. Not a lot of creativity had to go into it. No.
Right.
The web slinger.
Right. But I like when he's like modeling the suit because she wants to see it, and he's like, "What do you think?" And they have like this great exchange. Like, this is what I've been wanting from it. And I thought MJ would play a bigger role in these first 6. She hasn't. But I'm glad, I was starting to get all like palms sweaty a bit when, we're not hearing from her. We're hearing from the kids for a lot of the initial questions. And it's not till they go in the bedroom that they ask, and she says, I don't know if I have it here. Oh yeah, like how she's not actually angry. "I do wish you would have told me sooner, but hearing you tell us what happened, scary as it was, I'm mostly proud. Call it 30% scared, 40% impressed, and there may be other numbers for other things."
Horny.
That's the other 30%.
That's what she's talking about. She's talking about the suit.
Yeah,
that was mature. That was a mature interaction, though, and I thought it was awesome.
It was.
Peter's like so convinced he's gonna be in trouble. Like he's like, so
yeah,
and he's like, "Oh, okay, Okay, you want to see the suit? Cool.
Hey, look, he's used to his comic history as well. He's like, this has gone wrong 100 times by
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
when I saw her say that, I like breathed a sigh of relief, and I'm like, all right, because that's kind of what we expected coming into this anyway. Like, he's married, he already has kids, like that she'll be more supportive. Um, but we hadn't actually seen it in action yet. So, like, seeing it actually be confirmed that way, it was like, thank God we're not retreading ground with this. This is kind of like the MJ I remember growing up, right? Like in the comics, she knew he was Peter. And then also, if you think about the end of Spider-Man 2, when she leaves her wedding and she gives him a kiss and says, go get him, Tiger. Like, that's the Mary Jane I remember, is knowing and being supportive. And then they have completely backtracked on that and made her forget. They've made them get, broken up. They've had them get back together, and he's hiding it again. Like there's all this stuff that they've done. I just like seeing this as like, all right, we're just moving forward with it. This is what I want to see since the first issue, and now I have confirmation that that's how it's going to go.
The best Peter and MJ is when they capture the essence of young love without all of the stupid, annoying drama and the fights over the stupidest little, things that go also are the other side of young love. You know what I mean? So that I feel like they capture that well here.
Yeah, no, I agree. Let's see. I have another screenshot here. I just like the art of this.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love the goblin.
I like it anytime Spider-Man's in like a Spider-Man pose. Like anytime he's just like ready to pounce, like he's just casually like, all right, let's go into the. He's always moving. Like I like it when Spider-Man's not stationary.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's kind of look ahead to what we have coming up here. So the seventh issue, we have the cover of that I have right here. This is Ultimate Spider-Man 7.
Great.
A new arc. It says new arc starts
so
here. After their intense battle with the Kingpin, Green Goblin and Spider-Man both know they aren't as ready to reshape the world as they hoped. Harry and Peter get to work while Ben and Jonah work on the truth. And problems for their resistance arise when the Ultimates return. So it does seem like maybe we start seeing the Ultimates appear next month.
Well, I mean, in the first issue of the Ultimates, Giant Man returns, so it's the Ultimates made their return in a very unmissable kind of way, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Note to self: read the Ultimates.
It's really good, man. Yeah, like if you guys want, I can just start kind of bringing a little like monthly report, Chris, if you're not able to pick it up right away, that I can just kind of give you guys the spiel of what happens. If you guys wanted to, start making that a part of this too, I would, cool.
Yeah, give you some homework for it. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
No, that would help me kind of, because I'm not going to be able to catch them until they're on unlimited. So, I don't think it's needed in the sense of I think that while they kind of have this Ultimate Universe and what they're doing, I do think most of the time Spider-Man will continue to be doing what he's doing, and trying not to interfere with a lot of the other books. But no, I'm really excited for that one. The cover is really cool too, so I'm looking forward to that. And then issue 8 is the one I was talking about, where we have Iron Man, or as you call him, like Iron Lad, right? And it also references the Sinister Six in that. So I'm wondering if that's like a 2-issue arc or more than that. I would assume we're probably going to issue 12 for this arc, kind of like being 6 issues again, like they had for the first 6. Could be wrong, I guess, but
yeah, well, I think so too. Thought. And I just like to push back a little bit. I think if anything, he's going to be way more immersed in this kind of bigger world now that the Ultimates are out there and all that stuff, and knowing that with the Sinister Six coming up, they're basically at a 6-on-2 disadvantage. Like, I think they're going to basically kind of need the Ultimates in this situation to help them clear Fisk and all these others out. Old Man's going to be in there. That was one we kind of had some fun with in the private chat. So yeah, I think if anything, we got a pretty good like first six where he was a little more kind of isolated in his own pocket here in New York. But as we get forward and as we get closer to this, 2-year master plan from the maker, I think we're going to see Peter and Harry much more kind of involved in that larger world around them.
Well, I guess what I mean more is like what I would assume is you can read Ultimate Spider-Man without getting too lost without reading the other stuff. It's kind of what I mean. Like while the Ultimates may appear and stuff, I'm assuming they'll do some sort of like if it's crucial to Peter and his character, it'll be in this book and not the
Yeah.
other book.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just kind
Yeah,
of
that
meant
makes
like
sense. Yeah.
it'll be great if you bring that perspective, but like I also think that I'm not gonna miss too much of this story without having read that until I catch up on Unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Okay. Any other? I know this is kind of short this week. Was there anything we missed on this story so far?
I really liked May like fast talking. Like, I'm so sorry. I said, like, I didn't mean to say it. I've been trying to hold in the secret. I was scared. It was like all these things jumbled in together. It was such like capture a kid in a comic book. Like, I could hear the kid talking. I thought that was really well done. Like, I thought it was clever writing. And I felt bad for her because like she's holding in the secret, but like she's just being a kid. Like, this is
Yeah.
why you don't have your big secret being kept by a kid.
Yeah, it's like
pretty awesome.
If you tell a kid they can't tell somebody something, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when they
Yep.
ultimately end up doing it. Again, no pun intended. Keep doing that ultimately this episode.
It ultimately is your thing.
Yeah, yeah.
For Ultimate Spider-Man, yeah.
Exactly. I also will say we did get another little kind of subtle moment showing the contrast in styles with Harry and Peter that we've seen a little bit in past issues in terms of their sort of ideology and approach, and like Peter's hesitant to break into Fisk's house because I've never broken into anywhere, even though it's one of the worst, most evil people on earth, and Harry's very much in, this is old hat for him. It's just those sort of different approaches towards the same goal ultimately I think are going to I can't stop doing it now, but I do think
and the word of the day is ultimately.
It is. It really is.
They had good banter too, though. Like when they get in and Kingpin's expecting them, and Harry just turns to him and he says, "See, he was expecting us." So it's like not breaking in, pretty much. Like trying to help Peter get used to this life. Yeah.
But I do think ultimately it's gonna. Fuck. Sorry, I just this is crazy, dude. This is crazy. It's going to lead to a collision between them. Like I think they're starting it off with these kind of funnier, more playful moments. This is horrible. And I think it's going to build and build and get more serious, and it's going to. I almost did it again. It's gonna culminate in like something where Peter being like hesitant is going to lead to somebody getting away or something like that, where Harry's going to finally have enough of it, and it's going to lead to some good old fashioned Spider-Man Green Goblin fisticuffs there. So I'm interested to see how long that's going to take too.
I agree. I think this was something I've been saying since we first had these characters get together. You have these differences of opinion and stuff, and right now, like you said, it's played for laughs, it's played for the banter, but at some point Harry's gonna want to do something that Peter is gonna draw the line at. And like you said, it could either come because somebody gets away from Peter's like delay if he doesn't want to do something, and Harry thinks like, dude, you got to stop being that way, or it's going to come from Harry wanting to go a further step that Peter's like, yeah, we can break and enter, but we can't murder, or something like that, if that's what it kind of comes down to. And I think that those characters will ultimately end up facing off.
Good thing this isn't a drinking game, because I would be dead.
The doctors would ultimately be concerned for us.
Yeah. Muted, Jordan.
Jesus.
I was gonna say, I said ultimately
We are
this
just-
episode is over. So if
Thank
you want to
God.
reach us at TO Infinity Saga on our Twitter or Facebook to the Infinity Saga and Beyond, and Instagram on there, threads, all that stuff. You can reach us in the notes below. Have a great rest of your month. We'll catch you next time when we talk Ultimate Spider-Man 7. But what we also have coming up next week is our Comic-Con wish list that we recorded already. It's coming out on the 26th.
Hell yeah.
That day is not special at all. But we have on the 26th, we are having the release
Happy
of our
birthday,
Comic-Con. Thank you. We have our Comic-Con special. It's a crossover between this and Elseworld. So we will have DC wishes, Marvel wishes, and a little extra as well. So make sure you check that out next week. Thank you all for watching and listening. We'll catch you next time.